Hi guys, hope you're doing good. Welcome back to a new video on this Watch Design Academy YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be showing you the tools and softwares that I use personally as a professional watch designer. Before I jump in and explain you the actual design process, what softwares do I use for the design process and for each stage of the process, I just want to give you a little bit of background on me. My name is Dominic Kalagia. I own WatchDesignStudio.com and WatchDesignAcademy.com. I've been working as a professional watch designer for over 7 years now, and I've worked with a lot of different watch brands, micro brands, and people that want to start their own brand. If you want to go ahead, you can go down in the description box. You can check out WatchDesignAcademy.com if you want to learn how to design your own watch for your own brand or to actually become a watch designer. Feel free to check it out. At least just go on the website and check it out. It will help you a lot. So let's get right into the video. Firstly, what I'm going to be explaining to you guys is a watch design process. For every single watch that I do and that I design for my clients, the process is the same. So firstly, what I do is ask my clients what kind of design they are looking for, what kind of movement they want to use, what are the dimensions that they want to be around with, what kind of glass material, crystal they want to do. Do they want an open see-through caseback or closed one? Do they want a metal bracelet, leather strap, rubber strap, everything? So basically first I want to gather all the information about the design that we are going to be doing. So stage number one would be gathering information. So that would be kind of the step number one, but usually I don't include that as a step. It's just something normal to me at this point. So here we just want to know specs or spec sheet or specifications of the watch. Specifications of the watch. Then we have to go ahead into the step number two, and we have to visualize those specifications and how they will look into a sketch or a digital or a 2D digital format. So what I call this step number two is 2D digital drafting. So let me actually write it down. 2D digital drafting. So here we create a 2D sketch. Right? So basically what we want to do is create a 90% completed design of the specifications of the watch, right? So basically we want to create a basic design, at least that is to some degree complete, that we have a reference for all the other steps to come in the watch design process. So this is kind of the most important step, and here is where we spend a lot of our time when I design a watch. So because it takes a lot of back and forth with the client to actually design a watch correctly. So there's a lot of revisions that need to be done, a lot of colors changing, a lot of shapes changing regarding the hands, the index markers and stuff like that. So basically here we just create a 2D sketch. Previously, when I was at the beginning of my career, I was just drawing everything by hand, but it's very hard to visualize that without the colors, the shading, the shadows, and basically I do create a 2D digital draft, but it looks kind of a 3D, right? I will show you later in the video how that looks and how each of the steps actually look on a computer. So just stay tuned. Then we have 3D CAD design. So that is the step number three, 3D CAD design. I really don't know how to write today, so what's wrong with me? Design. So when we have all the information, we've made a 2D sketch of the design that is at least some degree completed. So let's say 90%, and the rest will fix in the 3D design. So here we start off like engineering and designing the actual components of the watch, right? So firstly, we'll take the movement from the specifications of the watch, and around that movement we will be designing the case in 3D, we will be designing the bezel, the caseback, the movement holder, the dial, hands, glass, crystals, caseback I already said, gaskets, end links, the complete metal bracelet, or what kind of leather or rubber strap the watch will have. So here is where we create all the actual components and create an assembly file. So when we have all the components of the watch, we digitally and in the 3D software assemble the watch. Basically, we put all the components together until we have a full assembly. So here we 3D design, and how the fuck do you write and? Like this, engineer a watch. Basically here we have a 3D design, and I will show you everything and all of that in the actual computer. So yeah, then once we have the completed assembly of the watch and completed all the components of the CAD files, then we go into the CGI software, CGI rendering. So in this step 4 called CGI rendering, I take this previously completed assembly of the design and I import it into the CGI rendering software, and here we apply all the materials, colors, finishing, like do you want it polished, do you want it brushed or anything else, so you can visualize how it would look in real life. Real life visualization. So that is what we do here. And then through all the steps, I communicate with the client, of course, and we go back and forth and make changes and adjustments if needed. But this is one of the most important things, because here it helps the client or yourself, if you're designing your own watch, to actually visualize how it would look like when it's actually produced. So that is the stage number 4. And when the client or yourself is completely satisfied with all of these and how the watch actually looks like, then you go into step number 5, and that is technical drawings. Technical drawings. And those are just basic measurements of the case, of all of the other components of the watch put into a paper for the manufacturer. Just, I would say, 2D manufacturing mea sur. Basically, that just helps manufacturer actually to produce the watch and have all the dimensions in one place. And then 6, that is the easiest possible step. You just export all of these CAD files. So from step number 3, you export all of these files into multiple different formats. It very much depends on what software you're working for, and oftentimes the manufacturer won't be working with the same CAD softwares that you are working with. So I always export into step format and .stl format, right? So those are the file export that I always send out to the manufacturer, right? So when you have all that completed and all of those files completed throughout this design process, you take everything from here that you've created, all the files, and you put it into a zip folder. And that zip folder is your design files, and that's what you send to your manufacturer. Now imagine yourself, you want to start a watch brand, and you just find a manufacturer and you just send them your basic sketch or a 2D draft that you have created, and you tell them, hey, produce this watch for me. And then you think the watch is going to be perfect. No way. And that is exactly why you hire watch designers, or you join Watch Design Academy and actually learn how to design your own watch from me directly. Those are the 2 best options in my opinion. Either hire a very good professional designer that will actually create all of these files for you to send to the manufacturer, or you learn how to create those files for yourself. Now imagine if you have a manufacturer, and with Chinese manufacturers especially, it's very hard to communicate, and it's very hard to explain directly what you want, because the communication is it's just difficult with any manufacturer that you do. So basically, if you can provide them with already completed files, it will shorten the production process of your sample or your bulk production very, very much, because you can already skip these 2 months that it will take them to actually develop and engineer your CAD file. I know I've been designing watches for 7 years, but believe me, it's not that difficult. The members in the academy have learned this within 3 weeks and already made their watches. So because I've already poured 7 years of my watch design knowledge into the Watch Design Academy. It's very simple, and it doesn't take that, it's not that complicated that like it seems to be. So we can delete all that, and actually let's just tell you guys what softwares I use. So now that you've actually seen the steps of the design process, let me just quickly write the softwares and tools that I use, or some alternatives that you can use as well. So I try to make watch design process as simple as possible, so I use as little tools as possible. So what I use, let's just write softwares for WD, watch design. So the first software that I actually use is Photoshop. Second software I use is SolidWorks. And the third software I use is Keyshot. Right? So those are the three main softwares. And with Photoshop, what I do create is a 2D digital draft. So that is where we are doing 2D digital drafting. That's what we do with Photoshop. That's the second stage of the design process, as we've said previously. With SolidWorks, I do 3D CAD design. 3D CAD design, and I do technical drawings. And with Keyshot, what I do is create CGI renderings. And those are all the three softwares that I use to actually be able to create a complete watch design through a watch design process. So it's very simple. Those are the softwares that I use. I'm just going to tell you about some of the alternatives that you can use. Let me write alternative softwares with a blue marker. So a lot of people, and as I know, Chinese manufacturers like to use is Illustrator. Adobe, so this is Adobe Photoshop, and they like to use Adobe Illustrator. So you can do that. You can also use Canva, but that's not quite as professional. I do really recommend using those two tools. Then for SolidWorks, I also sometimes do sketching, but that doesn't really matter. So instead of SolidWorks, what you can use is this marker is just fucking bullshit. Is green any better? Yeah. Instead of SolidWorks, you can use Fusion 360. You can use Rhino. You can use Solid Edge. You can use SketchUp if you really want to, but that's not something I really do recommend. I recommend either SolidWorks, Fusion, or Rhino, but those first two are the best in my opinion. Also, you can use Solid Edge. Solid Edge. That is very similar to SolidWorks anyways, so yeah. But the only issue with SolidWorks is that it's not really available for iMac or Mac devices, basically. So you have to use like a browser version of SolidWorks, which is just it costs $40 a month, so that's the only issue with it. Then, instead of Keyshot, I don't recommend you use anything else. You can use like Cinema 4D or Blender. Yeah, you can use those softwares, but those are not the softwares that I really recommend. So the thing is, in the Watch Design Academy, I have to promote it again. I offer download links, which are free by the way, for Photoshop, SolidWorks, and Keyshot as well, which you get in our professional or expert program. So if you're interested to learn how to design your own watch, check the link down below and apply for our academy. Also, one thing to know, which is quite important, I'm not sure how it ties to everything that I've talked about here, but what I've seen so far, the most successful brands in the industry, since this is kind of a passion business, are the ones where the founder of the brand is the one that actually designs their own watches, right? Because this is a passion business, and when you're able to put your passion and your vision into your own design with your own skills, the end product will be a lot better than if you have hired a designer or took some other existing design from a manufacturer. Because when you're hiring a designer, you always have to compromise in some ways. Because if you want to change and make a lot of adjustments and experiment with your design, it's going to cost a lot more money for you, because you have to pay the designer more because he has to do more work. But if you have all the skills of designing your own watch with those basic 3 softwares, it's very, very, very simple to translate your vision into exactly the thing and the actual watch design that you want. You don't have to compromise on anything. And you can explain your design better to your manufacturer than if you just get the basic zip file from your watch designer and send it over to the manufacturer, because you don't know all the intricate details of the design process and how the files work and what are each of the components for and stuff like that. So that's why watchdesignacademy.com is one of the best things online that you can find regarding learning watch design skills and learning how to actually create a production-ready watch design from scratch. So definitely check the link down below. It will help you very much. And if you're interested in joining Watch Design Academy, just fill out the form on our website and book a call directly with me, so we can take care of you and choose the best program that we offer that suits your needs. So yeah, without talking too much, let's go into the computer and actually show you how each stage of the design process actually looks like on a computer. So yeah, see you there. So now that we've gone over the design process and the tools that are used for that design process, I'm going to go hop in my laptop and show you how each of the stage of the design process actually looks in the actual software that we work in. So firstly, what we are going to be doing is opening up the digital draft of one of my clients. So I've had a client, Jason. We've designed a watch for him. So let's open up the digital draft first. So we've created 2 digital drafts in the 2D digital drafting process. So we've had a 2D design, that's digital draft version 1. So this is how it looked. So this is all created in Photoshop and it has some basic dimensions, but it's nothing too special. Basically, it's just a 2D design that is a reference image that we will be using through the CAD process. But basically, this is the first design that we did, and this is a slightly changed design, slightly improved. As you can see, we've added some more details, a texture dial and stuff like that. Then after we've finalized that, we've gone into the 3D software where I'm going to show you now. I've designed a complete watch from scratch. So I'm opening up the assembly file of the watch, and as you can see already, it's not fully loaded yet, but as you can see already, it looks kind of similar to the digital draft that we did. So let me just remove the crystal so you can see it a little bit more easily. Right? So this is the design that we finally created. So yeah, let me just open up the digital draft once again. You can see what I was talking about before, that the digital drafting process is just so we can have at least 90% completed sketch, and then the rest, 10%, we can change in the CAD software. As you can see here, this is how it looked at the end. So this one has a very interesting case back, right? And this is very much a similar watch that we've designed in the first step, which would be 2D digital drafting. And then once we've had that fully done, we went into the KeyShot, which I'll open up right now. And here in the KeyShot, which is a rendering software that we use for the CGI rendering stage of the process. So as you can see here, we've imported the full assembly of the watch along with the leather strap that the client wanted into the KeyShot software, so we could apply all the materials to the watch along with the colors. As you can see, this watch has a lot of brushing on the case, but it does have a polished bezel, which you can see right here. You can see how the light reflects of it, and it has a domed box crystal on top, right? And as you can see, it has a fume effect, but it also has a sunburst dial. which when I zoom in, you can see clearly, right? So, and this is how the case back looks like. This watch has a Miyota 9015 movement, so nothing too special, but it's a very good movement in my opinion. And that is exactly what we use the Keyshot for, so you can actually visualize how the watch would look like in real life. What I can do is actually change this bezel to be a gold. I can change the case to be gold as well. So that way you can visualize all the colors and how it would look like with different finishes. Same thing you can do for the dial, the case back, the leather strap, and everything else. So let me open up another client of mine, which is the one you'll probably know, and it's called Volucci, the watch that we've designed for them. Here I'm going to open up the digital draft that we did. Here we had 4 different versions. They all look pretty similar. So this is the first one that we did. They wanted to have a watch that would fit their overall brand language, but they wanted it to be like some sort of an RM watch, which is all right in my opinion, but if it's done correctly. And me being a good fucking watch designer, I did a very good job for them, and they're selling a lot of these watches. So this was the digital draft that I created for them. We've experimented with screws and stuff like that. So that's the digital draft. Now I'm going to open up the assembly file, the CAD file, so you'll be able to see. This is the 3D design that we've done for them. So this is the 3D CAD model, which was used for production. So yeah, you can see. And if we go to their website, Volucci watches, you have the Expedition model right here. And though that is the same model with the same renders that I did for them. So you can check it out right here. That is their same model. They do have different colors, different variations, which I'll show you in the Keyshot software, but it's very, 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 very good design in my opinion, and fits their overall brand language, even though they could up the price a little bit because this is very cheap for this sort of watch. But they are a fashion brand at the end, and it's a quartz watch, so yeah. But this is how it looks. And basically what you do in the CAD software is you design each component one by one. Every process of that I teach in the Watch Design Academy. So here you can see the bezel. You can open up the dial. This is how it looks. This is the dial design. And basically you can open up also the leather strap. This is the leather strap, the rubber strap design that we did for them. This is what they're using, right? And now I'm going to show you the Keyshot software. The renders that we did for them were made in the Keyshot software as well, and they are using those renders on their website as well, right? So you can see you've seen this render already on their website. We can go here, and here you can see the different finishes that we did for them. So this is the watch imported in with all the materials and colors applied. We have this one, which is a fully black one, which then we have my favorite one, which is the rose gold one, right? So these are the renders that you can find on their website. And this is a very, very nice design in my opinion. So yeah, this is what we use. This is the design process. First, we have the digital draft, then we have the 3D CAD files, and then we have the CGI rendering. And of course, then we've created technical drawings for them, which were not too detailed, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, so we just created basic technical drawings for their manufacturers, so they can basically finalize the design with some gaskets and stuff like that, so they can make the tolerances correct. And that's what we did for them. As you can see here on the side, these are the technical drawings that we've created then. The technical drawings of the case. Also, this is how the case looks like. Case back, side view of the case, cross section, chapter ring, crown, dial, and everything else, basically, yeah. So that's the actual design process, and that's what I've been doing for the last 7 years. So hopefully this video gave you some insights of how I design watches for real brands. Hopefully you gotten a lot of value out of this video, and if you're interested in learning how to design a watch from me directly, check out the link in the description of this video for our watchdesignacademy.com. Just fill out the application form on the side and I'll get back to you and we can discuss which program that we offer is the best for you. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and see ya. Ciao.